Good morning. Myself Nagma. Today I am going to deal with 9th standard first language English first lesson, the best advice I ever had. This lesson is written by Vijayalakshmi Pandit. The main theme of this lesson is on the basis of Mahatma Gandhi's advice to her, no one can harm you except yourself. This means unless and otherwise you make it happen, it won't happen. That means how you react to certain things, that only matters, that only changes. That's why Gandhiji has said it is you who can harm yourself and no one else. So this article was written in the Reader's Digest when Vijayalakshmi Pandit was High Commissioner of India in the United Kingdom. To begin with, the best advice I ever had came from one of the greatest souls the world ever known, Mahatma Gandhi, on a sunny afternoon a decade ago. Most people pass through a period of anguish when their belief in humanity at low ebb. I was in such a period. My husband had recently died. My deep sorrow over his loss was followed by the humiliating realization that in the eyes of Indian law, I had no individual existence. Along with other Indian women, I had participated for years with men in the national struggle for freedom, working and suffer side by side with them until it had finally been achieved. Yet, in law, we women were still recognized only through our relationship to men. So, in a state of anguish, there was a certain period when Vijayalakshmi Pandit was very in a deep sorrow when she had lost her husband, and one more thing was that women were treated in India lowly, and they never had individual existence. Though Vijayalakshmi Pandit had fought with shoulder to shoulder with men in our freedom struggle, still her existence was related to her husband, that is male dominating society. So now, as a widow without a son, I was not entitled to any share of the family property, nor were my two daughters. I resented the galling position. I was bitter towards those members of my family who supported this antiquated law. Now, the thing is, one thing was that she was very upset, she was very sad that her husband had already died and she had two daughters. Because of her two daughters, according to this antiquated Hindu law, woman cannot, widow cannot alienate a property, Hindu property, if she does not have any son. So this family in-laws also followed this antiquated old law, and Vijayalakshmi Pandit was very sad about this, that though she had done so much for the nation, still her existence is dependent on her connection with the male dominating society or any individual they are connected with her. At this time, I went to pay my respects to Gandhiji and say goodbye before leaving for America to take part in a conference. So she was going to US for one conference, and before leaving she wanted to say goodbye to Gandhiji, and at that time Gandhiji had asked her something. After our talk, he asked, "Have you made your peace with your relatives?" I was amazed that he would take sides against me. "I have not quarreled with anyone," I replied, "but I refuse to have anything to do with those who take advantage of an outworn law to create a difficult and humiliating situation for me." So outworn law is if a woman does not have a male son, she cannot alienate the property of her husband or her family. So here Gandhiji also asked, "Have you made peace with your relatives?" Actually, Gandhiji knew that Vijayalakshmi Pandit has so much of hatredness in her heart. That is why he asked her to go and meet and talk to them. But Vijayalakshmi Pandit refuses. Even if you ask me to go to my relatives, but I won't do that. But actually she has so much of hatredness in her heart. And she thought that Gandhiji is taking sides of her relatives. Gandhiji looked out of the window for a moment. Then he turned to me and smiled and said, "You will go and say goodbye because courtesy and decency demand this. In India, we still attach importance to these things." So Gandhiji says, you have to go to your relatives and ask and talk to them because courtesy and decency demands. In India, the main system of our society depends on the courtesy and decency. And if we keep anything hatredness in our heart, it doesn't show a decent life. "No," I declared, "not even to please you will I go those who wish to harm me." She says she refuses. She refuses to go there, and she firmly says that I won't go there just because they have so much. They have tried so much to harm me. "No one can harm you except yourself," he said, still smiling, "and see, enough bitterness in your heart to cause you injury unless you check it." Gandhiji said, "No one can harm you except by yourself. No one can harm you except yourself. Please check it before you harm this bitterness, cause harm to you or cause injury to you." I remained silent and he continued, "You are going to a new country because you are unhappy and want to escape. You can escape from yourself. Can you escape from yourself?" So Gandhiji says, "See, you are going to a new country. You can't go to a new place just because you are unhappy and you want to escape from this unhappiness. You want to escape from the situation here. Can you escape from yourself? Will you find happiness outside when there is bitterness in your heart? Think it over. Be a little humble. You have lost a loved one. That is sorrow enough. That sorrow itself is enough for you. Must you inflict further injury on yourself because you lack courage to cleanse your own heart?" He says, actually, Gandhiji, according to Gandhiji, if you have bitterness in your heart, when your heart itself is so much bitter and you can't live happy life, so be humble to yourself. You should first be humble to yourself, then your sorrows will be removed. If you are not humble to yourself, you can't see the world beautiful. You can't see or you can't expect the world to be humble with you. His words would not have lived me. They gave me no peace. After some days of severe struggle with myself, I finally telephoned my brother-in-law. "I would like to see you and the family," I said before leaving. So she called up these words of Gandhiji. It never left her. She didn't have any peace of mind after meeting Gandhiji. The words lingered in her mind, and she finally thought it is better to call her relatives, and she called up her brother-in-law and she said, "I would like to meet you and the family before leaving to US." I hadn't been with them 5 minutes before I sensed that my visit had brought a feeling of relief to everyone. I told them of my plans and asked for their good wishes before starting on this new stage of my life. The effect on me was miraculous. I felt as if a great burden had been lifted and I was free to be myself. So here, when she was there, it was a short visit, and she could sense that that visit had so much of relief for everyone, for herself and to the relatives. And then she thought it was a miraculous effect on herself. She felt a great sigh of relief for herself. This small gesture was the beginning of a significant change in me. This meeting had significant change in her for a lifetime. A year and a half later, I was in New York as a leader of the Indian delegation to the United Nations. Important to us was India's complaint regarding the treatment of people of India's origin in South Africa. Harsh things were said by both sides. I resented the manner in which my opponents made personal attacks harmful to India's prestige and to mine. I struck back with the same sharp weapon. So, half a year later in New York, a conference was going on with regard to India's delegation into the United Nations. This delegation was very important for India as it related to the treatment of Indian people in South Africa. So, some harsh words were spoken from both sides, from Vijayalakshmi side and other side also. Very harsh statements were made, and the opponents have commented on India and on Vijayalakshmi too. This attack was very harmful for India's prestige as well as for Vijayalakshmi Pandit. So she was so stubborn. And she too gave answer, and this stubborn and sharp words exchange of words had this here. It was said like sharp weapon. She too used the same type of weapon, sharp weapon, to defend herself. Then, after a distressing duel of words, I suddenly thought of Gandhiji. Would he approve to me? Would he approve? Means were as important as the end. So, according to Gandhiji, means were as important as the end. These words came into her mind as it doesn't matter what is our goal. Goal is not a matter. Just goal and the way we reach the goal, both are important. So she reminded of these words, and it helped her in a long run. Perhaps more important was if we succeed in getting our resolution passed by questionable tactics that injured our self-respect. So if we fight like this, even though we win in this resolution, whether we will get this self-respect, won't our self-respect be affected by these fights or questions and attacks and counter-attacks? It is not a dignified way of dealing with any matter. So she thought of it, and before going to bed that night, I resolved that come what might, no word of mine would be lightly used in the UN. From then on, I lifted the debate back to where it belonged, refusing to retaliate to personal attacks or to score a cheap point. Our opponents met us on the new level, and from then we argued the case on its merits. So she took a matter in a new level. She refused to answer on any matter which was a personal attack, and she took the matter to the main issue. And with regard to this, her opponents of India also came to the new level, and from then they argued in the same matter, and the case was settled on the merit of the issue. Before leaving the committee room on the last day, I went up and spoke to the leader of the opposing delegation. Before leaving, she goes to the opposite delegation and she says, I have come to ask you to forgive me if I have hurt you by any word or action in this debate. She says, I would like to ask forgiveness if my words directly or indirectly have hurted you, or my actions have hurted you. He shook my hand warmly and said, I have no complaint. He says, the opposite delegate says, I have no complaint against you. It was good to feel right with him, but even better to feel right with myself. One more, once more, Gandhiji's advice had saved me from myself. So, Gandhiji's advice. This is another advice that Gandhiji had given. Means is as important as the end. This advice she used here, and this advice once more has helped her in resolving the greatest issue for the nation and for herself. So his words have helped me retain perspective even in small matters. Not only in big issues, Gandhiji's words have helped in her small matters also. And she says, many women I imagine share with me a recurring nightmare. Someone important to you is coming to dine. So she has given one instance here. Someone important is coming to dine. The guests have arrived. It is time to eat, but there is no dinner. You wake perspiring, relieved to find it is only a dream. Here, she is giving just an instance here how Gandhiji's advice has helped in small matters also. And she said, sometime it may have happened in your household also. You have invited some guests and they have come, and though they have come and sat for so long and there is no dinner, so how would you feel at that time? And sometimes you may feel you may get such nightmares, like you may dream of such things, and while you wake up you feel like, oh, this is just a dream. But in her life such incidents had happened, and she is telling about this. But recently it really happened to me. My guest of honor, the Prime Minister of Great Britain and Lady Eden, could hardly have been more important to me. So these guests were very important for her. That is the Prime Minister of Great Britain and Lady Eden. They were important guests for her. High Commissioner for India in the United Kingdom. I had planned everything meticulously. I had planned everything meticulously, from the menu to the color scheme of the flowers and the candles. When the guests had arrived and drinks had been passed twice, I signaled the butler to announce dinner. But still we waited. When for the third time drinks came around, I excused myself and ran downstairs to the kitchen. So guests have arrived, Prime Minister of United UK and Lady Eden have arrived. Now drinks have served twice. Again third time drinks were served, but no signal of any dinner. So she excused herself and she called the butler and she excused herself for kitchen. It presented a shocking sight. In one corner stood a frightened little kitchen maid, in another the housekeeper. At the table sat my cook, waving a ladle and singing, beating time with his foot. His eyes were glazed and he was far away in some other sphere. The table was littered with pieces of chicken. When she went to the kitchen, she was shocked to see a maid is standing in one place and housekeeper is standing in another place, and the the cook is sitting on the table singing and shaking his ladle, and he is banging his foot on something, and chicken pieces were shattered all over the table. My knees felt too weak to support me, but I asked in my normal voice as I could command, "Why isn't the dinner ready?" She was shivering, she got shocked and she got annoyed. All these things came once, and still she consoled herself, she controlled herself, and in normal tone she asked, "Why isn't the dinner ready? Why in so much time has already gone? Why still the dinner is not ready?" "But it is ready, madam," my cook chanted. "All ready. Everybody sit down, sit down." So cook replies, "It is ready. You go and sit." I was furious. It was on the tip of my tongue to say, "Get out, you are dismissed." When I thought of the counsel that had calmed me so many times, if I lost control, I would only hurt myself. So here, when the cook replied that it is ready, you go and sit. She was very furious. She got annoyed and she thought of dismissing the cook. She thought of firing the cook from the job. Then she controlled herself and she thought of the advice given by Gandhiji and I pulled myself together. Let's get something on the table, I said. And she controlled, after controlling herself, she said, let's get something on the table. Let's have dinner on the table. Everyone pitched in. The food served wasn't quite what the menu described. But when I told my guests what had happened, there was a chorus of surprise. If this is what your cook gives you when he is drunk, someone explained, what must he provide if he is sober? So everyone sat for the dinner, but the food was not according to the menu what she had prepared previously. But after eating, the guest, she explained everything what had happened in the kitchen. The guests were surprised, and one of the guests said, if this is what your cook gives you when he is drunk, this food was prepared when your cook is drunk. If he is normal, if he is sober, how delicious would be his food. My relief in my laughter must have sounded a little hysterical. She laughed hysterically, my perspective restored. I realized that a dinner party, however important, it is not the pivot of existence. So, what Vijayalakshmi Pandit wants to say is, maybe for some people, for herself, the dinner party was very important for her. Actually, they are Prime Minister of Britain and Lady Eden means that is very important for her. But here at the end she says, she realized that it is not as important to exist in this earth. To retain a sense of proportion is as important as being able to keep one's heart free from hatred. For all of us, no matter what our work, the advice Gandhiji gave me is meaningful. No one can harm you but yourself. To retain a sense of proportion is as important as being able to keep one's heart free from hatred. So if you have to live a peaceful life, if you want a peaceful life, then you should remove every kind of hatredness from your heart. That is only a relief. That is only a medicine for a good life, a standard life. So this advice, it is not only meant for Vijayalakshmi Pandit. According to her, this advice of Gandhiji, it relates to all. All should follow this. That is, at the end, Vijayalakshmi Pandit says, Mrs. Pandit's advice to all is to retain a sense of proportion is as important as being able to one's heart free from hatred. So remove any kind of hatredness from your heart, and this advice applies to each and every person in the society. It is not only for Vijayalakshmi, but this advice that no one can harm you except yourself. This advice is meant for all, not only for Vijayalakshmi Pandit. I hope you have understood the lesson. Thank you.